Hey everybody, it's Eddie J on Crypto for MyBag.tv. Hope you're having a good one. What's good? What's good? What's good? There is a ton going on. I'm sure everybody heard about Berkshire Hathaway yesterday making that big purchase of the petrochem company. That's awesome. $10 billion, not bad. But welcome to Friday Night Flips. Friday Night Flips is the night that we choose to discuss almost anything involving investment. Everything else out the window, but investment all open, not focused on crypto, although a lot of the news is about crypto. The new all-time high for Bitcoin, new all-time high for BNB, just a lot of stuff going on that we should be aware of. One of the big things I told you I am into energy. And I don't know if you guys know this, but yesterday, I was going to report it yesterday, but then I got tired. Microsoft cut a deal, three huge deals for energy in Japan. Kind of a little bit of a big deal. Renewable energy in Japan, no less. 100 megawatts solar. Not a small feat. Not a small feat. Now, Microsoft has a really good reason to need energy. AI, on the other hand, not such a big deal, because when you really stop and think about what AI, is all about, you're better off running AI locally than you are using one of these very expensive, and not just an expense to you, but an expense to the world. A lot better for you to run it locally than it is to use one of those expensive, ridiculously expensive services. Grok, Gemini, Anthropic, OpenAI. Why? So you have a model that you say is really, really good. You come out and you say, oh, we have these benchmarks. Remember, AI doesn't always think. It hallucinates. But apparently there are signs that AI is doing what it feels like doing. It's almost becoming sentient, right? But OpenAI feels that they need, OpenAI, Meta, they all feel that they need their own data centers, and they're huge. Huge. I hear about all these reports that, we're going to build out this data center and it's going to be football. You're going to have to measure it by football fields the way people measure other things by inches or centimeters. Okay, let's run with that. I haven't heard a lot of them actually talk about how they're going to produce energy to support their data centers. I see how they're going to do things like, use up everybody else's energy and maybe not even share. But I'm not hearing how they're producing their own energy. Like back in the day, if you owned a business and it needed energy, you had to produce your own electricity. Like I said, it was long before we had, companies like Con Edison, PSE&G, and all the rest of them. It was long before that. You wanted energy, you had to produce it locally. And most of the reason why you had to produce it locally was because they didn't know how to make it travel without degrading. And then they figured that out. But the problem is still that you're sucking down a lot of energy and you should be producing your own. Behind your data center, maybe there should be a solar array, a wind farm, an SMR, small modular reactor for nuclear. But even for an SMR, it can take like 5 years plus to build it out. Build it out safely, which is why everybody's thinking about, what can we do about fusion and fission and all that other good stuff? Awesome stuff. But it's stuff we should be paying attention to, because when they build out these huge data centers in Middle America, Southeast, they're straining the existing system. Happy Friday. That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. And they're doing it around the world. We're going to build a data center here and a data center there. Why does OpenAI need such a huge huge data center. What are you doing? I'd like to know what additional work you're doing besides serving up your models. I don't know, maybe taking the data that everybody's giving you and using it for other stuff. That could be one thing. That could be one thing. But truth be told, I mean, everybody's going to have a computer. Pretty soon, you're going to have to upgrade your computer. And the computer that you buy is already going to have everything that you need to run your AI locally. And then the next step will be somebody will just create a package and you'll double click it and it'll install and have everything done so that you have it locally. Yeah, that's the way that'll work. And then far less regular people will use those services because they're running it locally. They're running it locally. So there's that. When that time comes, I don't have a timeline for it. I'm thinking probably within the next 3 to 5 years. But they're not using the data center so that regular people can leverage all of that AI stuff. They're doing additional stuff that we don't know about, that we don't understand. Facts. I mean, they've got to crunch data. They've got to do machine learning. They have to do a whole bunch of stuff. And let's not forget that a lot of these companies that are doing this kind of stuff have government contracts. So you can just go on from there. And it's not far to figure that out. So just saying, right? That's why they want these big data centers. The issue with me is the fact that they're getting preferential treatment for the energy that they're using and getting a lower price. And the price that we pay goes up because they're getting a discount. That's where I have the problem. That's literally where I have the problem. Because why should you get preferential treatment? Shouldn't a home, a residential building, shouldn't those get preferential treatment? What about all those small businesses that need energy to run their small businesses? I mean, for this country, they are the backbone of the country. They can afford to pay more in energy. Something to ponder. But big money talks big. And that's how that goes. Just saying. So yeah, so Microsoft cutting 3 deals totaling about 100 megawatts of power of energy. Solar, renewable. That's kind of a big deal. They're not perfect, but they're a very innovative company. I mean, they have data centers in the ocean because they know that it takes water to cool. So you drop the whole thing in the ocean and it'll be cool. And that's what they did. And then when they get enough that they have to fix it, they raise it, go inside, fix, and then lower it back down. Yeah. Now, each one of those data centers have a certain timeline. Totally get it. They have a time, a lifetime, right? And it's finite. Totally get it. That's not a problem. But they're being innovative in how they do things. The only thing I've heard out of companies like OpenAI is secrecy. Interesting. Me personally, I have no reason to use ChatGPT. I have no reason to use any one of them. And that's because I have 10 of my own nodes that I can run myself, that I do run myself. That's what my company does, right? So cool beans. I've got what I need. All utilizing the same energy that we already get in those locations. I mean, not for nothing. I mean, every household, your carbon footprint includes everything that you run that draws power. But we've implemented solar wherever we could. And that's how we're coping with it. That's how we're dealing with it. So that deal with Microsoft is a big one. And I suspect that Microsoft is going to do well. Why? Because Microsoft is not a one-trick pony. So on one side, they operate Azure, right? And on the other side, they have a whole bunch of applications. Awesome. But then they have this hardware business that doesn't really add that much to the bottom line, right? So it's really Azure, web hosting, cloud services, consulting as well, but really cloud services and their software. Now I expect them to take a little bit of a hit on the software, because there are a lot of things that they have that you can find more lightweight apps to do it for you. But they've always adjusted, and they'll keep going. They'll keep doing what they do. I was listening to an article today, and somebody brought up a very, very interesting thing. The interesting thing they brought up was Amazon, Google, Apple, Microsoft, Meta, the top 5 tech companies in the world. Nobody's been able to knock them off their seats. They're still here. They're still here. Yeah. OpenAI is not going to knock any one of them off their seat. Nope, not going to happen. So what innovative company can grow in any one of these spaces to even possibly go after that crown? Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, Apple. Name one. Nobody. The person went on to say how they do it is very interesting. Via their connections, board seats, anybody that can come along that has an idea or technology that they can use to unseat them, they're veered off course. That's what this insider had said. And I sat there and I was like, conspiracy theory, but not really. And somebody's going to sit there and go, no, Eddie, those are conspiracy theories. And I'm going to say, go look at the history of Microsoft. Go look at the history of any one of those companies. One way or another, the services that have come along that could have taken them out, they wound up not taking them out, right? Interesting, no? Microsoft was notorious for it. Microsoft got taken to court for it. Google, Amazon buys or destroys. Microsoft used to buy or destroy. So when I look at certain things, I also weigh, one of the things I do is I weigh what space are they in? Are they in any one of these spaces? And then I look to see, well, can they survive being veered off track? Doesn't mean that they get taken out of business. It just means that their product will never be something that will take one of these guys out. Yeah. If you've been through the dot-com boom, you know what I'm talking about. You've seen it. You might not realize it, but you actually have seen it. I was in the middle of something where, yeah, Microsoft just, changed policy. It's funny, if you look at Microsoft, I think Microsoft kind of wrote the playbook. Or wrote the new edition of the playbook. Because I don't think they were the first to do it, right? Other people have bought things and, misguided things so that they wouldn't get in the way and all that good stuff. Just cleared the field for themselves. Microsoft's not the first. But they had a clear strategy. And it worked for a long time. Don't believe me? Go look at Amazon. Go look at all the holdings of Amazon. And I'm not saying it's bad business practice or anything else like that. I'm just saying this is just history. It just is what it is. But go look at the holdings of Amazon. Go look at the holdings of Google, Microsoft. Yeah. But it's not that they don't innovate. They do. They absolutely innovate. They absolutely innovate. And now they've kind of keyed in on automation. I go through this whole long spiel to say that they have also not slept on crypto, which is beyond interesting. Pay attention to these things. Might learn yourself a little something. Bitcoin blew up today. Absolutely blew up today. New high for Bitcoin as per coin market cap, $124,457.12. 124,457.12 cents is the new high for Bitcoin. And yes, it happened today. Amazeballs, no? It is to me. Now, it pulled back. You had some profit taking, all that good stuff. And they're actually saying that if the U.S. shutdown extends, Bitcoin will rise. That's kind of not what I want to see, but not because I don't want Bitcoin to go up. But it means that there is an external macro event that's going on that's going to drive Bitcoin. So what do you think what's going to happen when that macro event is done? Exactly. So am I pulling out now? No, none of that premature stuff. No. I'm waiting. Because it'll probably be in the middle of the night that something happens and I'll have enough time to react. Yep. Right? You get a deal, automatically I'm going to think, oh, everybody's going to sell. So I'll wait, I'll react, I'll pull out. Things will drop. I'll get back in. 5% here, 10% there. Then you have a number of analysts that are saying, hey, look, and it's not just crypto analysts. Traditional financial analysts, they're calling for gold to take a drop, Bitcoin to take a drop, altcoins to get hit first. They're calling for a lot of things. So I'm sitting back and I'm kind of going, ooh, got to be prepared for that. So like I said, is it going to be a tremendous from $69,000 to $15,000 drop? Something akin to that? I don't think so. But will it be a bigger drop than a correction? A bigger drop than a dip? A dip is smaller than a correction, right? So do I think that the drop will be bigger than a correction? Yes. How much bigger, I don't know. 69 to 15? No, I don't think it'll be something like that. Why? I will reiterate. Institutional adoption, retail investment, oncoming or incoming retail adoption, infrastructure moves, greater knowledge out in the public. I don't think that happens. But I think there's going to be enough of a change, enough of a hit, that if I can get out as high as possible, when it drops, no matter where it is in that drop, I could get the bottom wrong, buy here, right? It drops and it drops to here, and I buy here and it drops again. Of course, I'm going to have money saved over, still in there, because you don't buy all in one shot, right? We don't do that. Or at least I don't do that. My family doesn't do that. So it drops all the way down to here. I'm going to have a little bit more in the tank to be able to buy there when they say, oh, that's the bottom. So I'll buy when I think it's the bottom. Dink, 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 dink. That's what I'll do. About dang time. There you go. So yeah, I pay attention to those things because down here I'll be able to buy. Even on the way up. Buy. Why is that? I'll earn more. That's what I'm trying to teach my kids with all these videos. Why? Because they don't want to listen to dad. One of my daughters was actually like, why can't you just do that for me? Okay, it's cute. She wants her daddy to go do it. But when I drop dead, I want her to be able to do it on her own. Hence, Dad is trying to save a piece of himself in all these videos, in the books that I write. Yeah. So when you look at these things, and you look at everybody talking about how there's going to be a top, and then there's going to be a bottom. Now, here's something that's interesting to me. That top will happen. That bottom will happen. I think it will happen before Bitcoin hits 200. Because do I think Bitcoin will hit 200? Yes. But I think that'll happen before it hits 200. So I'll be able to get out, get back in, and then off to the races. That's the plan. That's one of the plans. I don't put all my money in a single basket, so let's not get it twisted. But yeah, I think that's going to be the plan. Right? Because I can see how that works. I can actually see the probability. And it's kind of already written, right? Bitcoin's got to come down. Stock market has got to come down because they're hot. Right? So because they're hot, people are going to want to take profit. They will oversell. The market as a whole will oversell on the crypto side and on the stock side. And then you're like, oh, that's good. I know I'm a fiend. And then I'll just buy. I'll wait and then I'll buy. And then it'll be a march upward. Then it'll be a march upward. Because I don't think anything is going to really flow until we have enough ETFs as an aggregate to make the market hot again. So that's going to be a thing. Give me one sec. So that's something to contemplate. Give me a moment. Bear with me. Oh, he's not. He's fine. I heard Stitch whining, and it sounded like he was stuck in the garage. One of the kids had gone in the garage because he follows us wherever we go in the house. So it sounded like he followed one of the kids in the garage, and then the kid didn't know he was in the garage and walked out, locked him in the garage. And it sounded like he was whimpering, but he wasn't. He was upstairs whimpering for something. I think he wants a snack. You can't say that word very loud because he actually understands what it means. And he will go stand at the pantry waiting for it. Anywho, what other news do we have? Bitcoin surged past, 124, right? Analyst reveals October 83% win rate over the past few years. And thinks that if that's true, the next one isn't 139, it's 143. Now that's interesting. But when does that 43 happen? Like, where in the timeline does it happen? That's what I'm trying to figure out. That's the math that I'm playing with now. Yeah, I'm playing with math. The odds, the risks, the chances. Right? That's what I'm doing. Something else that seemed funny to me. OnePay, Walmart's fintech arm, is set to launch cryptocurrency trading and custody via its mobile app, partnering with Zero Hash. Remember that name, Zero Hash? You don't remember that name, Zero Hash? Want me to review it for you? Zero Hash is hot. Why is Zero Hash hot? Well, earlier this week, I told you about how Zero Hash is in bed with Morgan Stanley. Yeah. Remember I told you about that smart move that Morgan Stanley is going to make to be able to offer Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana on the E-Trade platform? Ooh. Yeah. All being handled by Zero Hash. So OnePay is doing the same thing and working with Zero Hash. And don't forget, Zero Hash got like 105 or $150 million from Morgan Stanley and SoFi. And now here they are closing that deal with OnePay, which is Walmart. And so if Walmart starts playing around with crypto, yeah, you see where I'm going, right? Not AWS, but Amazon. How long will it be before Amazon says, hey, we're going to do this? I was about to say, what language is that, sir? But good evening, and thank you for letting me know that you invested in yourself. So yeah, I'm looking at that OnePay deal, and I'm just like, that's amazeballs. Something else that happened, the stablecoin market hit a historic $300 billion milestone in 2025. Yeah. Shame you can't make money off of stablecoins, but that's a big deal, because what does that mean? It means that people are using stablecoins. One thing to note, though, a lot of the trades with stablecoins are not done by humans. That's right, done by bots. So you have to wonder about what those transactions are. Just saying. Just saying. Right? Then you have, as 6 XRP ETFs await SEC approval, the cryptocurrency market braces for a potential seismic shift. That's right. If that happens with XRP will absolutely blow up just off the news. 6? Yeah, it'll blow up just off the news. So I'm waiting. I'm holding my XRP. I'm not playing games with my XRP. I'm not going to screw up and let go of my XRP. I still have to figure out, well, what percentage is it going to be that XRP has to drop before I sell, because I think it's going to land over here. Right? So right now, looking at the numbers, XRP can still land in the $2 range from where it is now. So that's what I think about. That's kind of what I think about. Then you've got Coinbase's secret plan to take over traditional finance. Coinbase has applied for a national trust charter to expand into traditional finance, joining a group of cryptos that are going that route. You know, like Kraken, because Kraken already did that. Ta-da! Yeah, interesting, no? Now you know why I pay attention to stuff. Max Salas, you're thinking about cashing out. Yep, do your own research, know your entries and exits, and absolutely invest deliberately. That's the GMB 3. You have to do that. My feeling, I'm holding Solana. It's at $2.33 now. The all-time high for Solana was $2.94. I'm not letting go of my Solana. But you can't think like me, because I actually don't give a damn about Solana or my Solana bag. And some people might think, wow, you're really kind of rude, Eddie. No, I'm not. Remember, I told you guys a long time ago, I had sold off all of my Solana except for a little bit of profit. So it's free money that's sitting in that Solana bag for me. So I don't care. It can do whatever it wants to do. So I plan on letting that one just ride the hell out, because I think Solana at some point is going to hit 300. I think it hitting 300 is going to wind up being a lot of hype, and I don't care, because I'm in it for the value. It's going to grow in value. I'll be a smart little camper. So that's what I'm playing with. So yeah, people are sitting there kind of going, "Wow, Eddie, you're that." But now you understand where I'm coming from, right? I had yanked out of Solana a long time ago and had gotten into other things that I felt were more stable, had more longevity. And people are saying, how could you possibly think that Solana doesn't have longevity? Are you for real? For real? They have not proven to me anything about their network. Now, their network has supposedly not gone down for a long time, but they haven't proven anything to me about their network. They haven't proven anything to me that they're not as secretive as they used to be. They also have not proven to me that they are actually decentralized. I have a massive problem with that. So I'm not going to put any more money into Solana. Right? And people are kind of like, why wouldn't you put more money into Solana? Okay. I think Solana, just hear me out. I think Solana is going to hit 300. Do I think it'll hit beyond 300? Not that much beyond 300, right? It'll hit 300 just because I think it'll wind up hitting its all-time high of 294 and change. Not a problem. Do I think it'll sustain? Not really. But even if it did, if Solana hits 300, that means everybody else is up. I'm holding a bag of Hyperliquid. I'm holding a bag of Linea. I'm holding a bag of Aster. If Solana hits 300, those are going to X. Those will X. Solana hitting 300 is not an X. It's not an X. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you what it is. And we'll go back rank. There you go. And Solana has a GMB X factor of 0.26. It only has 0.26 to go to reach that 294 from 233. Awesome sauce. Now, how much beyond that 300 do I think it'll be? How much beyond that 294 do I think it'll go? I think it'll hit beyond 300 just because that's the number that everybody wants to see. Remember gas? Remember gas? When gas was going up, everybody was like, oh my God, when is it going to go above $100? Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then finally some trader decided, I'm going to put it over 300. I'm going to put it over $100. I think that's what's going to happen to Solana. I think that's what's going to happen to Solana, and it is what it is. Do I think it gets deep in the threes? I don't know. I don't know. I don't care. Because what I'm playing with in Solana is free money. But Aster and Hyperliquid and Linea and Cardano, they can all X. You get up into the higher levels. Solana, BNB, Tether. Not Tether. XRP, Ethereum, Bitcoin. They're not going to X right now. They're not going to X right now. Bitcoin, 0.02 GMBX factor. Ethereum, a 0.1 GMBX factor. XRP, a 0.2 GMBX factor. BNB, a 0.01 GMBX factor. Solana, a 0.26 GMBX factor. Doge is a 1.82 GMBX factor. Do I think it can do it if everybody else does it? Yes. So if it has 1.82, that tells me I can make more money off of Dogecoin. Same thing with Cardano with a 2.57 GMBX factor. Do I think it will hit its all-time high of $3.09? Possible. Do I think it'll hit at least 1x? Yes. Do I think it will at least double is that question? Yes. So I stand to make more money off of the lower level coins because they have a greater opportunity to X. And I'm here for the value. What will I do with that value? I will hold it in a stable coin, collecting interest. I'll probably hold it there in a stable coin, collecting interest while everything just falls. You're just looking around, watching everything fall. When everything's done falling, or looks like it's done falling, I'm going to put a massive amount. I'll put a massive, percentage of that into Bitcoin. I'll put a big percentage of that into Bitcoin. Say like somewhere between 50 and 75%. And then the rest of it, I'll put into other things. And people are sitting there going, why, if you think, Bitcoin isn't going to X? Because I do think that Bitcoin will X by 2030. Now here's something else to contemplate. I will keep adding to BTC over that time period. Why? Oh, because I can take a freaking loan off of my Bitcoin easier than I can take a loan off of my whole portfolio. I'll go take a loan off of Bitcoin, not have to pay taxes on that. Now you see where I'm going. I won't have to pay taxes on that. and live off of that, paying the loan back a little bit, while Bitcoin keeps going up. Aha. That's the plan. Well, that's one of the plans, right? That's what I'm looking at. 300 is your exit, then BTC. Yeah, because my thing will be I will hold in a stable coin. I'll hold in an interest-bearing stable coin, and I'll just wait. Could it be a year? Could it be less than a year? Could it be more than a year? Sure. But we established the other day, Rick Ritchie shared with us that the longest it's been is 18 months. So if the longest has been 18 months, well, damn. If the market takes a hit, it's only 18 months. Aha. So you start paying attention to the telltale signs. Where is the bottom? Where is the bottom? Could this be the bottom? Let me put a little bit in. Is this the bottom? Let me put a little bit in. Is this the bottom? Let me put a little bit in. Because one day it'll start moving up and it'll keep going up. It might go up. This is how we got to where we are now, by the way. It went up, went sideways, went up, went sideways. Went up, went sideways. It's called stair stepping. And now here we are before people could think about it. Holy moly, we're above $100,000. We talk more now about Bitcoin hitting $1 million with more belief than we did with Bitcoin hitting $100,000. Interesting, no? Now, Max Salas, you're talking about DCAing as you go in, and that's a good idea. But I'm exercising two different strategies. As I continue to make money, that's where my DCA will come in. All the rest of this is being put into dry powder, and I'm figuring out what I'm doing with my dry powder. I treat dry powder differently than I treat, my DCA strategy. Just so you have an idea. But yeah, you're looking at a whole lot of places where you can make big money, like big money. Right? I mean, Hyperliquid where it is, that's interesting. Hold on, Control F. That's right. And then you have Aster where it is at $2.08, just making money. Its all-time high it's got a GMB X factor of 0.16. It's going to blow through that the same way that Hyperliquid is going to blow through its 0.21. 1inch just cut a deal with Coinbase. Coinbase is going to integrate 1inch's features into their platform. 1inch is about to blow up. 1inch is about to blow up. So yeah, there's a lot of news that we should be paying attention to. Let's see. Samsung expanded its partnership with Coinbase, granting 75 million US Galaxy users seamless access to cryptocurrency via Samsung Wallet and Pay. Yeah. The back end, Coinbase. 1inch unveils a bold new identity and domain, 1inch.com, prioritizing user experience and institutional security while bridging DeFi and traditional finance, and partnerships with Binance, MetaMask, Ledger, Coinbase, and others. What? Yeah, 1inch is about to blow up. 1inch is about to blow up. Just saying. We got to pay attention to these things. Control F, inch. Where is it? 1inch is up 0.55%. It is 96.88% off its all-time high. It's got a GMB X factor of 3132. Do I think it's going to make it this time? No. But will 1inch make money? Aha. Yes, I think it'll make money. What's the next one? Linea is only up 2.63%. It's got a GMBX factor of 0.70 though. So when you compare that GMBX factor for Linea compared to Solana, yeah, I'm going to make way more money off of Linea than I ever will off of Solana. Just saying. I'm able to buy tons of Linea. I did buy tons of Linea because, you know, that's my thing. But at 2.7 cents, yeah, not bad. It's 41% off its year-to-date number, but it's cutting deals. It's cutting deals. The latest news that you've heard about Linea is all about various companies leveraging that technology to get into blockchain, to get into Web3 tech. Boom. Avalanche too. Don't sleep on Avalanche. Don't go snoring on something like Avalanche. You'll get your feelings hurt. Where are you? Avalanche has a GMBX factor of 3.64. It's 78.42% off its year to date. So me buying Avalanche right now is kind of delicious. Do I think Avalanche can make that 3.64? By the hair on its chinny chin chin. That's what I think. Which means that I think, so look at it like this. Do I think it'll hit 3.64? I do, but oof. Though that's some long shot stuff right there. But that would mean that it would at least get to 1x. It would at least get to 2x. It would at least get to 2.5x. It would at least get to 3x. You know what? See what I'm saying? So it's got all of those intervals that it can meet. I make money. I make more money with Avalanche in the short term than I do with some of the other large caps or larger caps, right? You can call the top 10 like mega caps almost. I think it's like the top 6. You have big drops, right? So if you're looking at Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, BNB, and Solana, stop there, because then there's a mighty drop all the way down to USDC, and we don't count stablecoins because stablecoins are in a different space. The larger drop is from 126 billion plus Solana all the way down to poor wee little 38 billion, almost $39 billion Dogecoin. That's a huge drop. So that top tier is a far cry from the rest, from the next group, if you will, which is what? Doge, Cardano, and yeah, it's Doge. Technically it's Doge, Tron, and Cardano. Then you have another drop by about 50%, all the way down to Hyperliquid, Chainlink, Athena, but that's a stable coin, Avalanche, Stellar, SUI, and Bitcoin Cash. That's your next group. Then after that, you've got, let's see, Hedera, Litecoin, Leo, Shiba Inu, Toncoin, Polkadot, Mantle, which I have a bag of, Monero. Wow, this is a big group. DAI, another stable coin. Uniswap. You can stop at Uniswap at that 5 billion mark. And then the next group after that is going to be Aave, Pepe, Near, Aptos, BitGet Token, and BitTensor. And immediately after BitTensor, by only a few 100,000, is going to be the next group, which is going to be Ondo. No, I don't talk about that one at all. I won't even say it. PayPal, which is a stable coin. Polygon, Arbitrum, VeChain, Cosmos, Algorand. You can say Flare and Render. And I'd probably stop there. And then you keep going, and you can see the huge steps between them. You can see the huge steps between them. Pepe is a big meme. I think it has enough of a name, enough gusto behind it that I think Pepe would do well. How well? Let's see. Control F. Pepe has a GMB X factor of 1.78. I think you can do it. Like I said, if I'm looking at Bitcoin hitting another all-time high, Solana hitting 300, obviously that means Ethereum's going to at least hit 5,000. So you're looking at, if this coin does this, what do I think the other coins will do, right? In relation to that coin, which means that Pepe would at least make its 1.78, in my humble opinion. But I don't give financial advice. I'm telling you what I'm thinking about against my risk framework and how I like to manage my bags. You need to go do your own research, know your entries and exits, and absolutely invest deliberately against your risk framework. Just saying. That's how I go about doing that stuff. Very interesting, no? Very interesting. Right? So I look at all these things and I just consider, well, where would this coin be versus that coin? What technology are they, or, are they really, rolling out? What use case do they have? Who's leveraging it? So even though Avalanche is down by big numbers, I still look at Avalanche and go, Avalanche is being leveraged across many different use cases. DeFi, gaming, tokenization. 3 of the hugest. Right? Along with normal transactions. So just saying, people are building on Avalanche. People and institutions are building on Avalanche. Municipalities are building on Avalanche. So that's what I'm looking at. That's kind of how I, slice and dice it to kind of see what I have going on. I will make a note to everybody. I don't always talk about all of the news, all of the articles that I've covered throughout the day, or that my team has covered throughout the day. You can go to growmybag.tv and you can see those articles. Of course, you got to be a member. So just saying, doesn't take a lot. And yeah, we're about that far away from launching the new platform, which is kind of cool. Very, very cool. So there's that. I'll get to him in a little bit. One of my guys is actually still working. Mike McGlone. Bloomberg's Mike McGlone warns crypto faces a major downturn if U.S. equities correct, comparing current risks to the 1999 internet bubble and highlighting Bitcoin's vulnerability against gold. Except that Bitcoin's not against gold, kind of. If they were 2 people, I would say they're in a friendly race. That's what I would say. Right. But you should go look up Mike McGlone and see where his thoughts are at. Goldman Sachs upgrades gold forecast to $4,000 plus by 2026. That means by the end of the year, citing surging ETF inflows, central bank demand, because there is a lot of central bank demand, and economic uncertainty, because there is a ton of economic uncertainty, which means that people are going to try to escape to gold and Bitcoin. So you see how Mike McGlone falls against Goldman Sachs and vice versa? That's what I'm talking about. Allianz Life Insurance reveals a massive data breach impacting 1.5 million people, exposing sensitive data like social security numbers and prompting free identity theft protection services. Because that's going to be great. You're not protecting Jack. It's already out there. So you're kind of protecting identity, your identities, but it's kind of like, how come you didn't have the security in place? And are they going to get a slap on the wrist? Oh, it's just a cost of doing business. It's not a big deal. If you're in that kind of business, your security should be way better than it was, clearly. But I will also say, if you have electricity running through it, it can be hacked. Just saying, it's that kind of thing. Citi's Scott Cronert predicts a potential resurgence for small and mid-cap stocks driven by AI advancements. Not to say that AI is taking people's jobs away, but AI is taking tasks away. declining Fed rates, and improved earnings fundamentals. Yeah, that was for this quarter. Next quarter, I don't think so. I think you're going to see a lot of companies take a hit. I think you're going to wind up seeing a lot of companies take a hit. Kind of makes sense when you really stop and think about it, right? So I'm looking at this and I'm kind of like, yeah, that's all right. It's not horrible. Not horrible at all. Anyway, everybody, this is Eddie J on crypto for growmybag.tv. I hope you like what I'm doing. If you do me a favor, smash the likes because we are growing. We're growing quickly. We're a hair away. We're less than 400 away from 25,000. So that means that we could hit 25,000 within the next few days. Yeah. Be proud of yourselves. Because it's because of you that we're growing this community. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for it all. Everybody, it's Eddie J for growmybag.tv. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience. And as always, thank you for your trust. I'll fight for that every day. And I hope you have a good one. Bye-bye, everybody.